YouTube, welcome to Previa Mayhem 3. It's actually day 2 of Previa Mayhem 3 because this morning I just looked at my video footage and somehow I recorded it in time lapse. There's no sound, it's super fast and jerky. Don't even know how I did that the other night, but I worked like 10 hours on day 1 of Previa Mayhem 3 and it's head gasket. 300,000 miles, almost 300,000 miles on the Toyota Previa, 1994, 30 years old. And I thought to myself, I almost put the fluids back in it after Previa Mayhem 2 and just drove it. And I thought to myself, it's got 300,000 miles on it. If I don't do this one, what one will I ever do? Like, if it never works again, what did I really lose? Not that much. Fun car, though. So yeah, I dove into it. Spent 10 hours on it the first day. Got way further than I ever thought I would. Pretty tired. And today is the second day and we're going to put it back together. So I'm going to catch you up where we are at from day 1. And it's going to start with the baby exhaust headers. Yeah, a minivan, all-wheel drive, mid-engine, supercharged with headers. Tell me that's not a supercar. And just so you know, I'm going to deliver on this video. That monstrosity used to be in there. Let me show you where it's at actually in here. Yeah. Check it out. Inside the passenger door. That's the engine block. Cast iron, baby. Toyota built this thing to last because they knew it was going to be hard to get to. So that's where it is presently at on day 2. Let's get you back to that header removal and we'll catch you up and then get this thing put back together and see if it runs and backs itself out of the driveway. Maybe today. Alright YouTube, I'm actually on YouTube following how to do these. I do have the Previa manuals available. I pull them out for cross-referencing, getting torque specs and some of the bolting patterns. But I'm following 2 sets of videos. Sammay has his videos from Seattle, Washington. I think he's up in Seattle. He works on nothing but Toyota Previas. He put together a whole bunch of how-to videos. This is his system, doing the head gasket with the engine in place, dropping it down a couple inches. And it's his system, so I'm not going to show you all the step-by-step. You need to go to these videos. I'm actually on the TPE Toyota, I don't know why it's called TPE, but it's Toyota Tarango 1980 something. But I think he's from Australia, New Zealand. He compiled all of Sammay's videos. There's like, I think Sammay has like 14 videos on how to do this. He compiled them into one with some edits and made it, it's like an hour and 3 minutes. I'm 38 minutes into this bad boy, and that's what mine looks like right now. So I'm following these. The links are down below. Don't do what I do what they do, just in case I mess something up and mine never runs again. So follow these guys. They're the ones that know what they're doing. Check it out. I got my little baby header off. I'm not sure how I'm going to put that back on because over here 2 studs came out instead of just the bolt, the nut. So the studs came off instead of the nut coming out. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there, and one of them looks stripped, so maybe I just put some pass-through bolts. I'm not sure. We'll find out soon. Yeah, little baby header. Next phase, I think, is making sure some wires have room to move, and then removing engine mounts and letting it lower down. We'll see what happens. Alright YouTube, quick update. I'm going super slow as usual because I'm terrified and this thing kicks my ass every time working under here with very little space. As you can tell, it's not that far off the ground. I barely have room for my impact wrench to get up in here at times. So not easy. I don't have my bicycle, former retired bicycle, reformed bicycle racer arms are not that strong. So yeah, this is awkward. But the engine mounts are both out. They're sitting back in the back. I'll clean them up. The engine is now lowered down and it is sitting, can you see it? Up there, there's a oil pan over there. Weep. There it is, that way. There's an oil, or not pan, sorry. Oil filter, I don't know why I keep saying that. I gotta start focusing on what I'm talking about, not what I'm pointing at. So that oil filter is now holding it on this cross member. The engine's just sitting there. And now I have space on the top to work. I got one 10mm head bolt up here on the intake. And then everything else is on the front side and the top side. So I should be able to get in there. I'll walk around and show you what it looks like from the other side. All right, there she is. So now you can see intake manifold all the way across to the other side, other opening on the car. So now I can get these bolts, I can get to these, and we can disconnect that intake manifold and all the injectors, and get this head gasket, or get the valve cover and the head off, and we'll be good to go. So yeah, my biggest fear now is, what are the chances when I lift this thing back up and put the mounts in, all the holes line up? Because I have, like I said, former bicycle racer upper body strength, meaning not a lot. And what are the chances I'm going to be able to maneuver this thing with very little space underneath to get the holes to line up to mount this engine ever again? I have no idea, but I'm probably guessing it's slim. And just like that, in the magic of YouTube, the entire distributor side of the engine on the cylinder head, there it is. You can see it on the, let's see if I can point to it. There's the cylinder, there's the head gasket right there. This is the block. Cylinder head, head gasket. EGR pipe is off, vacuum lines are off. I'm going to get new vacuum lines. I had to cut one of them to get it off. I don't think it had ever been off. Distributor's out, obviously. These are disconnected. And now I move up top, and I think I'm working on the other side. So, yeah, I'll give you an update over there. Present state of the driver's side. There's the passenger front seat sitting in the back, so I could get this one to kick back, open up the panel, and I'm pretty sure the bolts coming out are, this one is coming out, 12 millimeter. And this one's coming out, and I'm pretty sure that one's coming out. It's going to allow this whole intake manifold to lift up when I disconnect bolts on the head on the other side, I think. So keep with me. Alright, YouTube, done on this side. The EGR modulator thing is out. Smashed the shit out of my finger and cut my hand open again. Popping that bolt loose. These were fairly easy to get to. I don't have a lot of space here. His video seems to show a little bit more space than what I've got. So yeah, the two top bolts are out of these mounts. This thing should be free to lift up in a little bit. The bottom ones are still in there. There's one right there, and there's one right there. They are still in there, just loose. So yeah, headed to the other side. We're gonna take off a bunch of stuff. Check it out, YouTube. I've been able to do it. I had a whole bunch of fuel come out of here. This thing's been sitting for a month. Wasn't expecting that, but you know, you can see into the top of the block. I've never seen in there. I don't know that this engine's ever been out. So I know the transmission dropped once for a new seal, but I just used some C-clamps there and just pried the intake manifold up. I don't even see a gasket on there. That's really weird. Maybe it's on there. Might be all just gunky and gross, but I know I have one. But yeah, gonna keep going. Now I gotta take the valve cover off and start seeing what things look like, and this is where things get really, really serious. Just pulled out the spark plugs, cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're all kind of gross for as little mileages they have on them, but this one came out with a lot of oil on it. I've even cleaned it up, and it still looks different than the other three, but I'd already cleaned it up, so I have a feeling that this head gasket was ready to blow. Got lucky. Things are looking up. All 9 of those valve cover bolts came out. I'd read some horror stories of those things being over tightened and then having to be drilled out because they break off. So they all came out nice and easy. They were just kind of just easy to pop. But these 3, 1, 2, 3 right there, came out of here. These last 3, 1, 2, 3, these 3 in the middle here, they were oily. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but we're about ready to find out when that baby pops off. Feel free to chime in, YouTube. This is officially the furthest I've been into the inner sanctum of an engine, and we're going deeper. So, yeah. Intake cam. Ooh, that's interesting. It's got an arrow saying it's rotating that way. That's odd, but don't know what that's all about. And then we got this one. Some sort of a line drawn on there. So maybe, is that factory? Because I have no history of this thing ever being out before. So that's rather interesting to me. Don't know what that's all about. Yep, I know we have the split cam gear on here. It's supposed to help take down noise vibrations. So I know I gotta get a bolt in there, but I gotta get it lined up first. Yeah. Not sure. Oh, see my drip? It's still dripping some fuel. I have no idea why. Just air pressure? I have no idea. Wish it would stop though. It's been quite a bit. Timing chain, 300,000 miles, baby. Never been open to my knowledge. Alright, gonna keep moving through here, and this is where it gets really serious. So I gotta get the timing lined up to get this taken apart right. And hopefully it all goes back together. I gotta get stuff labeled. So that's where we're at. A lot of bolts coming out. Alright, here's where we're at. With the spark plugs completely out. This thing turns pretty easy. It does build some compression, but you just gotta slide past it. 26 millimeters long handled wrench that I got from Harbor Freight. Came in handy. It's my biggest one that came in the set, and it fits these. See how that's shaped? Fits it perfectly, and it's shaped on both of these. You can get it spun, and what you're doing is you're looking for a line. And in Sammay's video, his had an entire line on the timing drive. Mine just had a little notch up here. And then you draw a line to show where it is intersecting what teeth on the, or what cogs on the chain, or I don't know what they're called, links. What link it is landing in between on the chain. And then put a line here as a reference. There's a notch right there where my finger's at. And that's the line between these things. So as long as I get that all back together with that. And then also back in here, I actually put a little white line on it. But on the bottom cog, which is the exhaust cam, it has 2 dimples, and on the top one it has 1 dimple. So as long as those two are perfectly meeting each other again, and that is perfect, it will be in time. If not, it'll explode. Alright, from those videos I was under the impression that when I release this 19 millimeter bolt, that it just works its way out, but mine does not. It is caught, and I have not figured out why. I don't feel anything here that makes mine bigger. Someone used some old silicone sealer instead of a new gasket at some point. Get rid of all that eventually. Got a new one going in here. Anyway, so now, I know this one comes off first. I pop this. I'm supposed to whack this with a hammer. This timing gear. I'm supposed to, it's all marked, so I'm not worried about it, but this is loose. This was supposed to come out, and then I'm supposed to pop this with a hammer and get it to fall out. I'm having a feeling that I'm going to have to do this all in coordination because this bolt does not come off. So, or does not pop out. It's just too big. So we'll see what happens here. I might be stuck. Volvo bits to the rescue. Thought I was going to have to go to Napa and get an M6 10 millimeter, but I had a Volvo bolt M6 with an 8 millimeter on the top, so just threads in there to hold these together and not let them spin apart. And then I was just noticing, do you see this like 2 millimeter bump out right there? That's what's preventing me from getting this bolt out. And there's a dimple. See how that's inset on this side? Kind of wondering if this has been off before and if those were, I don't know what the heck. Why would those be there? It's kind of odd. Very odd. Not sure what that's all about. So going to proceed. My thought is, I know the exhaust one comes off first and then the intake one. I think I'm just going to have to do all the bolts in the right order and then just coordinate this thing coming out and all of this coming free at the same time when it can move a bit. And then just hopefully I remember to do that before I get it all bolted back in. These are kind of cool because they're marked with an arrow towards the front. And this one says intake I1, intake 1, I2, intake 2, arrow towards the front, intake 3, intake 4, intake 5. And then down here we had exhaust 1, exhaust 2, exhaust 3, exhaust 4, exhaust 5. All of them have an arrow pointing to the front, so it's really easy to remember which ones they go to. Took a little bit of extra shimmying and maneuvering. I'm not sure if this is permanently part of the thing or just a plug. So we'll see. I might have replacement ones, so maybe it'll be a little bit smaller and easier to go back together. This little gap here is not, it's not gonna let me unbolt that bolt, but I did get it undone. That was not fun. Got the gear out. It's all down there, sitting on the floor, all labeled, ready to go back in. All of my, what are these called? These are the valves, right? The little push shims. They are ready to come out. They roll on the cams and they're all labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the intake side on the top, and down below 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the exhaust side on the bottom. So they go back in the exact same spot that they have been operating in their entire lives. So gonna pull them out with a magnet and stick them in the little IKEA jar, and we'll keep moving forward. YouTube, I am so relieved. All 10 of those head or cylinder head bolts came out without a hitch. The tightest one was number 9 on the loosening sequence. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you just do them about 45 degrees until pop them 45 degrees, come back through, pop them another 45 degrees, and then it was easy to get them to 90, and then they just came out. So all of them came out super easy. Yeah, now I just got to pry this thing off and lift 70 pounds out of here with my little spindly arms. How fun is that? And I just arranged everything down here. There's all my cams all ready to go back in. It's all labeled. There's my bolts. I did order 10 new ones and 10 new washers because I wasn't sure if these are torque to yield. So I have all 10 of the bolts, the 10 washers, and then I have the 2 that go on the timing chain. Those come out first, by the way, and they're just up here. So they come out before you do any of this crisscrossy sequence, and it's in the book, although it is upside down. So yeah, enjoy. YouTube, that was super easy. I just reached in here, one hand on either side, left hand over here, right hand was right there, and just pop. And it just came off of my hands and just lifted right out this door. I'll show you where it's sitting here in a second. Nothing's cleaned up yet, but I think we were really close to a catastrophic gasket failure on the head gasket because that thing was not right. It is separating apart and not correct on how it's sitting in there. I'm not, ooh, what is all that? I'm not sure. Oh, that's not a port. That's just some goop. Not sure what all this is. Hopefully that's not a bunch of old stop leak or anything like that. But we're going to pull this one off and we'll start cleaning out some cavities. And we're going to clean up the tops of these cylinder heads. I don't see any signs of scoring. That's a good thing on the 2 that I can visually see. So yeah, keep moving. And there's the dirty behemoth. Exactly how I pulled it out. Still got oil all over it. Well, I'll get it cleaned up a little bit. Got a new intake gasket for the top, exhaust gasket for the bottom. We're gonna get this all cleaned up and back together. Yeah, there's like tons of debris on the top of this motor just from 30 years, 1994 Previa. So 30 years right now, 2.4 liter, 4-cylinder. Hopefully it gets back together and runs itself out of the driveway and goes gets another tank of gas. All right, quick update. So this is starting to make a little bit of sense. We never had a blown head gasket on this car, but I remember back in 2015, it blew a bunch of smoke going up the mountains up I-70 near Evergreen. On our trip to California, we turned around and left it. We took the Volvo instead. Repacked everything into the Volvo. And I remember that he didn't see any signs of a blown head gasket, but he said it might be getting close, something like that. And I think he added some whatever that, not stop leak or liquid glass, whatever that stuff is, because it's all over in here. These are like it's like rubbery, like little films. Like that's really tiny. Most of them had holes poked through them, but definitely not operating at their full capacity. We've never had any signs of any overheating on this engine, but it also makes sense because I think it was in 2017. The same guy, Boulder Auto in Boulder, Colorado, he worked on a lot of Previas, and I'm pretty sure, I think he did this as like just to put a little bit in there as a preventative on this head gasket, buy us some time, I think. And I remember a year or two after that, we had to replace the radiator because it was clogged. So anyway, it never overheated, but it was a little, slightly higher than normal, and he just went ahead and replaced the radiator. So looks like we bought all the mileage out of this thing we can. I'm going to clean up all these passages, get this flowing again, suck it all out as best I can, and we'll move forward. Whew, it's almost midnight, YouTube, and I got my ass kicked all day. But I got way further than I thought I would, so I'm pretty sure I'm leaving in 8 days. I have 8 days to get this thing running. I got to work soccer matches through there. I have 3 days of soccer matches and a training session. So I'm not sure how much time, maybe 3 more days out of the 8, 4 more days max that I can get this thing put back together and running before I leave for Tennessee in Ragnar. But I got a lot of progress done. I'm wiped out. I'm just going to show you where I'm at, and we'll start it again for a little bit tomorrow. Check it out. There's the head. Cleaned it out a little bit, pulled off the intake manifold gasket. And then over here, I'll open her up. Oh God, I gotta step across the shop back. I'm tired, it's almost midnight. Neighbors gotta be loving me. And I'll light it up, just so you can see in there. Actually, you can see in there pretty good. It's got pretty good light. So, a little bit of carbon still in the deep cylinders. It is hard to get in there. I don't want to I'm using these plastic nylon bristle brushes, but I just don't want to beat up the sidewalls at all. The cylinder 1 looks great. Cylinder 4 looks good. Cylinders 2 and 3 are coming along and improving quickly. I'm going to work on them again in the morning. That's about all I'm going to do. I need to get the blocking going on the block here to get the old gasket material off. So we'll start working on that. I did some scraping on it tonight and a little bit of small block, but not much, just to get the initial leftover material off, and then I'll start sanding it with 180 paper. That should be here in 2 days, but I really can't work on this tomorrow because I got games. And what else do we have going on down here? Trying to think. That's it. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I'm tired. All right, YouTube, we are in surface prep mode. I'll light this up a little bit better. Just got to get rid of all the old gasket material. Remember, this block is cast iron. Timing cover, though, right here. You can see that line. That is aluminum. So be careful on this. That'll sand much faster than this will. But yeah, you just take a long block, and I'll show you what I'm using here. Let me back out. I bought a roll of Duragold 180. Sammay says to use between 150 and 200. You will be fine. Using a long block. I think this one's 15 or 16 inches long. So I got this all on Amazon, both of these. I'm using 180, a little less risk that I'm going to gouge with 150, go too deep on a stroke or somewhere, or get out of balance or unlevel. And then a little bit more work than 200. So I went right in the middle of the 180, got a roll of it. So you just cut it to length, adhere it on there. And the concept is, with the long block, I'm going to use both hands, so I'm not going to do it live. But with the long block, you go across enough block, and you go back and forth on, you know, as big of a stroke as you can, but keeping it nice and firm all the way across as many cylinders as possible. And you gradually get all the angles and get all the gasket material off to get a clean surface. We'll also do the intake manifold up here. Got to do this mount for the, I think that's EGR gas return. And then I got to do the same thing on the intake manifold. I got to do the same thing on 3 sides of the head. I got to do the, obviously the head gasket side. I got to do the intake and the exhaust manifold side. So just clean all those up and get the old gasket material off so we got good surfaces to remate new gaskets. Making progress. I'll light this up a little bit better. Most of the gasket material is coming off. Maybe I should have started with 150 like Sammay did. The 180 is taking a little bit, and I have to replace the paper quite frequently. So I'm just taking my time here. 2 areas that are going to be quite difficult to get are right here on the left side. Woo! There you are. On the left side of this, the little bump out that holds the head in place while you insert screws. That one's hard to get to, and diametrically opposed, this little side's hard to get to with these timing chain guides in place. So that's kind of hard to get to, and this area up top is a little bit difficult. I am also using the handheld one, the little small block, but even it has a hard time. It's not going to be able to get back in there. So I'm going to have to do those very, 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 very carefully by hand. This side is not under any type of high pressure from the compression of the pistons, because that stops right here on the cast iron block. This is aluminum timing chain cover, so there's no high pressures in there at all, just lubrication. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'll keep moving forward. I'm still working on getting some carbon out of the top of that corner, and that corner on these cylinders. I'll see if I can show you what my process is. Get lit up. Yeah, it's just there and up there. So like 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock on that one. And we got another 10 o'clock on this one. It's just hard to get to with them sitting back in there that deep. I can't really get any pressure on it. Cylinders 1 and 4 were way easier to clean since they're sitting top dead center all the way out. But yeah, I'm still working on it. They're way cleaner than they've been, and I guarantee 30 years. So hopefully it still runs when it's all back together. And a couple hours later, I can confirm, buy the 150 sandpaper for the cast iron block. That'll go much quicker. All right, YouTube, this is as far as I'm going to take it. I went back and looked at Sammay's video on YouTube, and even on his, you can still see some of the gasket material around these rings. This area out here on the outside of the nubs, I don't know what you call these, this is the 2 of the head gasket bolts go through here, but these have the little male stick outs so that you can actually support the head on there while you're setting some bolts. There's 2 of them, one there and one there. This outside area, that's not as important in my mind, because what we're trying to do with the head gasket is keep the compression in the cylinders, keep it from going between the cylinders, and keep it out of the water jacket and the oil ports. So that's all this interior stuff. This exterior area out here, that's not as important. So I didn't go very deep. I just kind of did this by hand really quickly with a small piece of 180 sandpaper. And just got that as best as I could. That's where I'm taking it. That's as good as it's going to get. Now to the head, which is a totally different story because it is aluminum, or how the rest of the world pronounces it, aluminium. So yeah, I'm going to clean that up as best as I can. Cross your fingers. And yeah, now what? What do I do here? Because I'm not taking this to a machine shop to get it machine surfaced. It was never hot. We're the third owner. I bought it from the second owner, who's a personal friend. Matter of fact, if I ever wanted to sell it, I got to give him first right to buy it back. And he bought it from someone that was a personal friend, client of his. So I think he bought it with 60,000 miles on it. We bought it with 160. He put 100. It's almost at 3, so we put 140. I've owned it for 10 years, coming up this month, I think, right now. So it has been in our household. It has never been hot to any knowledge of any of the owners. It never even got hot when we replaced the radiator. It just went like 1 needle higher than normal, and I took it in to have him look at it because we knew we had issues with Previas and head gaskets. So anyway, that's when the radiator was replaced. It's never been hot, so I'm going to just very mildly clean this as best I can since it's aluminum. I'm not going to go gung-ho on it like I did with the cast iron block. And we will cross our fingers and hope for the best. Kind of my attitude on this van has been, every time I repair something, will it last 1 to 2 more years? It's got cancer, right? She's suffering from some rust. She's rusted out back there on the fender well. Back in underneath here, the frame is kind of gone, or the body panels, that edging is kind of gone on the lip there. So cross our fingers, hope for the best. All right, people of YouTube, I know you're blowing me up on this one. I did not have this machine shop done. All I'm doing is cleaning that up. I am not wanting to take off any excess material. I don't see any signs of cracking, but just use the 180 grit sandpaper extremely lightly. Just trying to clean up as much gasket material as I could after I had scraped everything very lightly with the razor blade, a brand new sharp one. So not gouging anything and just trying to get it done. Who knows? A bunch of you are probably screaming at me in the comments right now that this thing's going to blow up the minute I start it and never seal again, which is, hey, you might be right. You're probably right. I give you a 40% chance. I'm a solid 60% it's going to run. We'll see. After seeing the condition of that last head gasket that it ran for 8 years. So that's what I'm doing. But again, don't do this at home. Don't do it on my recommendation. Bunch of you are probably skipping ahead to the end to see if I'm driving down the road with a cloud of smoke or oil plume burning out the back and posting it as a parts van on Craigslist. I know a bunch of you are expecting that to happen, and that might be the case. Who knows? I might be doing that, but then again, it's okay for me if this thing blows up. We've had it for, Jesus, for 14 years, 140,000 miles, and lots of adventures. If it dies, I'm kind of all right with that. And while I'll miss the adventure van, you know what? A Honda Element fits in this garage just fine and will suit our purposes with more modern equipment. So I'm perfectly fine replacing this if it doesn't work, and it's been a fun adventure going this far with it. So let's see what happens. I'm going to start putting stuff back together. There's the new head gasket sitting in place. Shit's getting real. Here we go. I'm going to pick up this 70-pounder, whatever this thing weighs, and hopefully get it on there nice and easy. I zip tied it just like Sammay had it in his video onto the timing chain guide tensioner thing. So hopefully it stays nice and easy and it goes right on in. All right, YouTube, I've been in a conundrum. I've tried to put this thing in there 3 times. It's sitting here upside down. This side obviously goes to the front, so it's upside down. This is the exhaust on the bottom, intake on the top. So it's upside down right now because I took out the timing chain tensioner. When you take out everything, this extends to its maximum height. So it would be creating as much, taking up as much slack as it possibly can. You can actually unactivate the teeth by pushing down, and then that plunger slides in. But listen to this. Hear that? As soon as it works its way out, as the chain tensioner, the chain guide wears, or the timing chain wears, it pushes itself out, and then it can't go back in unless you release it with that little push down right there on the teeth, like a zip tie. So I was looking around and I'm like, every time I try to get this in, I can't get it high enough because this tensioner is all the way out. This wasn't mentioned in the book. It wasn't mentioned in the videos. So I'm looking at this going, well, if I get it in, this will never go back down once it's tensioned. So I started looking at it and I'm like, this has to come out the bottom. So I'm assuming on his videos that these were removed when they reconditioned the heads. And then he's reinstalling it after this cylinder block is installed, because you have this little swing gate. See that little hook thing right there? It has flex in it, and I promise you, I can lift it up with my finger. I used a little screwdriver before. I'm going to have to do two hands, but I can lift this up. It will clear over this peg. It will swing around the other side. When this, I can compress this release, push this down with my hand, swing this up from this side, and grab that hook. And then it leaves it completely inside. Once this is all inside with the gear and everything, I reinstall that at the end, and then I reach in there with the screwdriver and I pop this gate off of that hook. I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's set and ready to install. Alright, so now it's completely pushed in. It's going to be creating the least amount of tension on the timing chain guide, so it'll not be taking up any slack in the timing chain when I put this thing on. Matter of fact, it won't even be in when I put it on now. It's going to face forward, so let me put it back into its spot. I have a new gasket, actually. It came in my kit. See where it's sitting, and let's see if I can light it up. All right. Light it from the bottom. Can you see it? Yeah, so there's the little pin. Once it's all in there, I think I can reach in with a long screwdriver, pop that release, and it will spring out and tension the timing chain but I'm going to do that when it's all installed. That's how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to cross my fingers that that's how it's intended to be done, because I don't see any other way that it can ever reset that chain tensioner. Alright, yep, I got it all cleaned off. That old gasket did not come off. I had to scrape it with the razor blade. Got it as good as I could. It's and in my kit, that thing is just a little bit oblong, a little askew. And so is that little gasket. It's a paper gasket, and I think it goes just like... Oh, wait, that's wrong. It goes just like... Bingo! Oh, my aching, spindly forearms. That thing is heavy. I'm getting my forearms torn apart on here, holding it on the bottom. It's the only way to do it. I got it in there on the second try with the tensioner out. So you can see the hole that the tensioner is going to come back through. Back in there in the bottom. Yeah, I was able to finally frickin' do it. Oh my god, one bolt is holding it in right now, so the other bolts are going to go in real fast. It is on. I looked underneath. It is all sitting perfect. So yeah, bolts are going in. Time to do some torquing. All right, YouTube, I have torqued all 10 cylinder head bolts. There is a pattern, and I'm doing the opposite of how we took them out. The book is upside down as it was before, but it's basically counting backwards because that was the number to take them out. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, something like that. Hopefully you got to see all that. I'm not sure. I wasn't looking at the camera. So that's what we did. I took it up to 20. Went around them several times until none of them were making a movement at 20. It took a couple rounds until none of them moved. I bumped it up to 25. Went all around probably 3 times before none of them moved at 25. Went up to 29, which is what the book specs. 29 foot-pounds. Went all the way around 3 times again before none of them moved. So they're all at 29 perfectly. Now we're going to go through the whole cycle and do 2 90-degree movements. This new torque wrench, which I've only used today, it's the first time ever, should track 90 degrees. But Toyota says to just put a paint mark on each bolt, and then we go through the whole cycle, move each of them 90 degrees. So we put a paint mark facing one direction, 90 degrees tighter, all of them, and then we do it again, another 90 degrees tighter, all of them. So I'm going to use the paint mark as a safety backup because I'm not sure how to use this thing yet, and we'll experiment along the way, but the paint will make sure I get it right. Alright YouTube, can you see my little white dots? I made them all on the back side. So 10 of them on the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all the way to the back. White dot on each of them. You can just make them out. I'm letting it dry for a second so I don't lose it. And then rotate them 90 degrees, all of them, so they'll be pointing straight up. and then go back through the whole sequence and go another 90 degrees. They should all be facing forward. So 180 degrees total, but we do it in two 90-degree blocks. And I'm going to try to learn how to do this torque wrench at the same time because I think it can track it. Check it out, YouTube! All my white dots are 180 degrees facing forward. All 10 of those bolts, and I got to do the 2 in front. I'm going to tell you do the paint because that angle tracking is not close to being accurate. It was short every single time. Steady progress. I've got this marked. It's in the right spot. See the 2 marks? I got my bolt here because I know that the bolt won't fit in after it goes in, so it's kind of got to go together. Just sitting there to remind me of that. And now I need to put the pucks back in on each of the valves. The valve and the lifter springs or whatever those things. I don't think they're lifters anymore. Just these are the actual valves and the springs underneath there, the spring seats. I can put the pucks over the top because the pucks roll on the cams. So they're all labeled in a bucket over here and they're going to go in now. There we go. The pucks are back in. Intake all on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhaust on the bottom. E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7, E8, and they all pivot freely. No big issues. And I know it's going to work because I donated blood. Look at that. I took the knuckle, the skin right off the top of my knuckle, reaching in here, trying to pop my zip ties that held this so I could get it back together. But yeah, that. Reaching in there, I just caught it right on the lip right there and just gouged it, and it won't stop bleeding, so I know it's going to work. Lots of blood. All right, we're going a little bit different because I cannot for the life of me figure out how to get the intake cam and the timing gear and the bolt in at the same time. So I started reading the manual, and maybe it's different on the SCs than what Sammay did in his video. Maybe that wasn't a supercharged one. Maybe the engines are just slightly different enough that it makes this more difficult. But I took the pry bar and I pried out this little half moon, this little half moon right here. It sits right there, so it just goes in there with some RTV, it looks like. It was kind of gray, to be honest. So we have to reset that. But then the book over here shows the process to be a little bit different. So I'm actually going to install the without the timing gear, install the intake camshaft, and put the on the caps on them. And it says you got to rotate this a little bit to make it easier on yourself. It's kind of interesting, but it looks like the intake and the exhaust cams are going in first with their caps, and we're going to line up the two, and then the bearing caps go on. The number 6 bearing cap goes in. We're going to do this in the order that they say since it's open, and then we do the install the cam sprocket with the timing gear and the markings on it, and then I have the puck pulled out just like they do in their picture. Funny, install chain tensioner. So glad I took that out. So yep, that's going to go in. Chain tensioner with a new gasket. I got that. And yeah, there we're going to go. We're going to set the chain tensioner. Yep, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to see if this works. I think it's just slightly different for an SC engine. Check it out, YouTube. I think I did it. I got my marks lined up. The 2 teeth come together with the dimples. There's my 2 white lines. And top dead center right there, going straight down the line on the block. Yeah, all of it worked out. And there's my teeth. Where's it at? Get the angle right. There it is. You can see the where I paint penned it before I took it apart. And it's lined up top dead center right now. Perfect. I'm trying to get you to where you can see it. Yep, see it in there? And I'm just turning it with a 19mm giant long-handled wrench. And I can turn it all I want. And I got to get the chain tensioner back in there through the hole in the bottom and pop the little lock pin and let it tension the chain. And we are good to go. And keep progressing. It's been a long day. YouTube, I think I got success. I got it all lined up still. I've rotated it through 360 degrees, brought it back to top dead center. The tensioner, after it was put in there, I don't even know if you can see it back in there. Can you get an angle here? I'll come in from underneath. Maybe you can see it. What do you see? What do you see in there, huh? Boy, am I going to have to edit the shit out of this. I don't know. It's back in there somewhere. There it is. It's way back in there. Let me see if I can get some more light. That. All right, so I don't know how it's possible, but I put it in there with the pit with that little lock tab holding it, and just rotated it backwards with the 26mm on the camshaft, and it popped it right off. And then you heard it as it rotated, it went click, click, click as it grabbed more tension. So that was kind of interesting. So yeah, the chain is fully tensioned. It's not clicking anymore. I rotated it 360 degrees. Didn't hear any clanging, so no valves hitting pistons. Timing is set. We're back to top dead center. The dots are lined up. I'm still square. I got to put the puck back in. This was so easy to do with this puck removed. There's no way to do this. I don't think there's any way to get that bolt in there. I think maybe on the older ones it was a nut, but this one's a bolt. So yeah, that's not easy. Yeah, so I'm just gonna put some RTV sealant on there, and that puck goes right back into place. And then I gotta just do the valve cover gaskets, and I gotta put new seals for the spark plug tubes. Piece of cake. This is getting easier. Alright, YouTube, I didn't take any footage of it because it's just the same process in reverse. None of it's that exciting getting stuff battened back down. Intake manifold's on, the coolant pipe is on, the sensor's attached. Fuel rail is back on, the fuel injectors are plugged back in, their guards are back on, the metal one and the plastic, the electrical harness is back on, everything's torqued. New boots for the spark plug tubes. Spark plugs were just inserted. I don't know if you can see them down in there, but trust me, they are there. 4 of them. They are 14 foot-pounds, and I'm ready to put the spark plugs on. I'm going to put this other cover on, and I'm done for the night. It is like 2 in the morning. I've been working for a little over 12 hours, so more like 14. But yeah, long day. I could have done a lot faster if I would have realized that I could redo that timing chain tensioner. So anyway, that's where we're at. And just like that, super simple. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they're labeled from the top. 4, 3, 2, 1. Super simple to get the distributor on tomorrow, but I'm gonna put that cover on and call it a good night and go take a shower and go to bed. Alright, YouTube, how do I look? Don't lie. I'm wiped out. It's 2:30 in the morning. That engine's back together, all the covers are back on it. I'm tired. I basically just took a bath with Alex's Legit Street Cars shop wipes. They just showed up yesterday. I ordered them last Saturday on his special, watching a show. Those things are amazing. So yeah, I cleaned up the garage a little bit. Tomorrow I'm gonna maybe do the engine mounts, but this thing's gonna be back and running by Monday for sure. And then I'm taking off and going to Tennessee for soccer. So I'm tired. You can see in there. It's all back together. The covers are on there. And Alex, these things are great. Thank you so much for the discount from last Saturday. And buy some, people. They're good. YouTube, it's officially wrap it up on the Previa Mayhem 3 video day. Engine is put back together. I'll show you an update on that real quick. I gotta get the engine mounted back into its spots. Crossing my fingers that when I lift it, this heavy beast with the jack, it's all gonna line up and go back in the holes because I don't think I can manipulate it by myself. That's the biggest worry I have at the moment. Quick update down here. I did fix this, pulled the spark plugs because when we're gonna start this over with no spark so that it can pump fuel and oil and coolant through everything. When we get the fluids back in here and then everything's back in place. And I did fix this. It is supposed to be in the order of 3, 4, 2, 1. So don't blow me up for that earlier bit of 2 in the morning putting back together. I did it so it would look symmetrical, and it's not supposed to do that. So distributor's going back in at some point today. Alright, YouTube, I've connected everything. 10mm water pipe bypass bolt on the top of the block from the front. There's no spark plugs in here. These are just sitting here temporarily. Header's back on. New header gasket. What else have we done? Oh, the distributor's back on. But to be honest, I'm not 100% sure that I left this at top dead center. So what I did, because I had played with it a little bit, what I had done with the, if I would have had my 1 dot and my 2 dot lined up, I would have, and my mark on the thing pointing straight up, I would have known it was top dead center on cylinder 1. But I've rotated a couple times, so I don't know if I'm 180 degrees off or top dead center. So for, the distributor cap is put in. I got a 50-50 chance this thing's going to run. If not, I will pull the distributor cap back out and flip it 180 degrees, put it back in, see if she sparks in the right order. So, yeah, that's where we're at. I am ready to put in. I gotta lift it up. Jack is right here. Gonna lift up the block again. The engine from the oil pan. There's no fluids back in it yet. I'm gonna lift the engine back up, see if I can get the little driver's side and passenger side engine mounts back in, and hopefully those holes line up because I'm not very strong to shift this behemoth around. All right, YouTube, had to undo the exhaust manifold and put it back in so I could get the studs to line up with the exhaust pipe, and actually had to put one new stud in there. Yeah, that's done now. That was a lot more work than I was anticipating. Engine mounts are in, oil is in, filled it up. I'm gonna run the same oil filter that I just used to let it sit on, because the STP one they sold me from Amazon or AutoZone, just a cheapie I was gonna put on here. It doesn't have the same attachment to get it on there tight, so I'm just gonna keep the Toyota one that only had like 600 miles on it. So we'll just use it, and we'll do a short oil change on this since everything's been opened up. And yeah, no spark plugs. I gotta drop the rear end down now, so it's sitting high in the front. Gonna put the rear wheels on the ground for the first time in over a month. Front will be high, and I'll start filling some coolant. That's what we're up to. Yeah, getting close to seeing if it'll turn over. Here we go, fire in the hole, baby! It's not stuttering. Yeah! All right, YouTube, we're letting it run its 10-minute cycle here to get fully up to temp. Last time I looked in there, it was sitting normal. I'll walk back around and show you in a second, but when I first started it, it was smoking, but it did not smell like coolant. When I revved it up, the smoking got worse. The smoking is pretty much totally gone. I'm thinking that smoke was the decarbonating the top of the pistons and using some solvent in there, and I think it just kind of burned it out like when you do the seafoam. So it has stopped completely. Hopefully the head gasket hasn't just completely failed on me already. It's not blowing any white smoke and not burning any oil at the moment, so those are good signs. Trying to do a coolant cycle so I can get it to pull through some more. It's already got 12 quarts of coolant in there, and I have what I think it's 12.3 I think goes in these, so a little bit more to go. So it's going to suck some more down. I've bled here. I'm just going to go switch and I'll show you the other camera. All right, I'll just stick my head in here. Cover's still off. No more smoking. There was all kinds of little smoke and solvents coming off of the tailpipe. Coolant temperature over there, you can see it's just sitting totally normal. I don't have any gas in here, so there's a light on the dash for that, but no exhaust leaks inside. No smoke. It has completely stopped smoking. So I think that was just some solvents coming off, and then I'll come around here so you can see the coolant temp. Heater's still blasting in here to get it to flow through. That's totally normal, below half. So yeah, actually that's a little bit less than normal. Usually it's a little bit higher than that, maybe half a needle higher or so. So that's it. I'm going to start battening down the hatches. YouTube, she's running. Fluids topped off. Wheels on the ground for first time since April 30th. Over a month. No sputter at startup. It's not blowing any smoke. Doesn't smell like antifreeze. Yep, does not smell like antifreeze. I'm gonna take it for a drive. Yeah, needs gas. Gotta go get some gas. YouTube, that's a wrap. 1 month plus. I think I rolled this in on April 30th. It is now June 10th. Took me forever. I was waiting for, I mean, at least 2 weeks was lost waiting for parts from Japan. So maybe I should have ordered those locally. Especially since 2 of the orders from Japan got canceled entirely because of parts unavailable. But anyway, it drove to the gas station. I just posted a short moments ago of it sitting at a pump at Valero, 5 gallons worth of gas. We'll fill it up tomorrow at Costco, put a full tank in it. But drove it about 5 miles, went up the big hill on South Boulder Road. It was fine, not an issue, not overheating. I did just bleed the water jacket. There's a little opening 12mm bolt right there. Just bled it again. I'm gonna put it on the street tonight, let it cool down overnight, and we'll do another bleed cycle, add some more coolant because I'm sure it's gonna suck more in. I know I didn't add 12.3 in there. I only put 12. So it's got another third of a quart to go, so it needs to suck in more from the reservoir at the moment. So we're going to let that happen. Be safe out there, YouTube. If I can do it, you can do it. Be safe. Have fun. Check it out, YouTube. Ragnar's in the garage, Lagarth is backed in, and Floki's resumed its spot. Running like a champ. No signs of any leaks. Last time I burped the on the water jacket return on the top of the cylinder head. Last time I just opened it up 5 minutes ago, no air bubbles came out. It was just coolant, so we are good to go. So yeah, we're going to take it to ice cream tonight and celebrate. Be safe.